Tuli eno mu Parliament mu kakiiko ka Park ekiriyo Minisiter w'ebyobulimi oba Minisiter wa Agriculture Yabba Sente Zabalimi Yabba Sente zaali ez'okugula ebijimusa, ezaali ez'okugula ensigo, ezaali ez'okuyambako okutumula ebyobulimi, okugula tractor n'ebintu ebirala. Sente yazibba n'azezza n'azikolamu bya bugagga bye n'azikolamu bibye. Akati neno amaaso gamukanuse ali mu kankana matama. Bamubuuza ensimbi gy'aziteeka taziraba. Kati nno bazimusaba atandise okukankana, atandise okutuuyanirira, bw'asaba amazzi bampe banayo ku mazzi nyweko, bamubuuza sente ziriwa bampe ku mazzi nyweko, kyeya bampe ku mazzi nyweko, sente alaba gye yaziteeka. Uganda olemwa oseka n'ogweri ekigo. Akale kankutwale mu Parliament tulabe omukulu bwakaaba olwa sente ze yabba, olwa sente ze yalya nga tamanyi na waje ziri kyokka nga zaamwe wa musolo. N'eggwanga laffe tulagawa tutandise tuti.
Workshops, meetings and seminars. You spent
30 million, sir. 20 million.
You spent 20 million. Agriculture supplies and
services.
750 million. Travel inland 70. Was this 75 million?
Yeah.
0.75.
It's 750.
It's 750, not 75. Eh? The other one is 20 because there is a zero. Fred, yes, the other one is 20 because there is a zero. Then you spend travel inland, you spend 60. Not so? Light vehicle acquisition, you spend 300. A total of this. Now, our concern, sir, comes in this form. Specifically, I noted very high rate. This is what the auditor discovered. This Sembeguya man, he provided 150 goats, okay, to our farmers. All of them died in the first, is it in the first week? In the first week. And this is how it went. So we're asking you, sir, how can you have a project that performs this way? Remember, we are not repeating the work of the auditor. Who is this gentleman that supplied 150 goats to this to the farmers, and all of them died in the first week? And what have you done so far?
Chair, thank you very much for that question, and then request Dr. Kajura to supplement on my answer. There are reasons why goats die, and while any biological would die, especially if you have supplied them. Some of the reasons might be genetic. You might
even when you go to table 2,
yes, sir,
where there are 700, okay, that were supplied, and the farmers there, still only 441 survived.
Exactly.
And these are the initial days. So we are not so sure at the end of this project how many goats that you supplied.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you, sir, that there might be two reasons. But I will allow maybe the scientists to explain to me. However, I asked myself this very question because there's a scientific reason. There's a scientific reason why this might happen, but there might also be another reason why it may happen. And I can assure you, sir, we have interrogated this. I request that we allow Dr. Kajura Dr. Kajura, the project coordinator.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Issue, Sembeguya has taken close sums of money by providing wrong goats. And sometimes he even never gave them out. And the recommendations of Parliament, if you go to articles of Parliament, he should not have been given this contract again. So we need to know how did they source him out, and they should provide that information, how he got the contract. Then, as he comes in, this committee should be availed by, on page 35, Article 5.1.5, clause 11 of the Memorandum of Understanding 2021 states that Sembegwe Assets Uganda Limited shall procure and in liaison with the district veterinary office proceed to isolate, vaccinate, and tag and distribute indigenous local goats. But 64 of the memorandum states that the district local government shall assess. So we need details of the assessment of those people, plus what was done by Sembegwe in relation to Article 5. We need details of that. If they never provide them to the auditors. So, because they were determining the type of goats to be bought.
Honorable Sengu.
Why Mr. Sembegwe was contracted again, I'm not in a position to answer. By the time I took over this project, he was already having an MOU with the ministry. Maybe I will ask the accounting officer to, because
just to clarification, should we find out, is this a continuation of the other projects was supplying goats to
I was working with the NADS. So this is a different MOU.
So you have someone perennially doing wrong and you continue. Who is the officer? Were you the officer under review? On this audit, were you the officer?
Yes.
You are the officer?
I was, for this financial year, yes.
I put him on oath because I'm going to be very, very, very serious here.
I, Stephen Kajura, do hereby solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give touching the matter before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I was appointed to run this project when Sembegwe had already been contracted. So I don't know the background of how he was contracted. Somebody else was managing, and I was only brought in at the tail end.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Then we need to know from the accounting officer, how was Sembegwe sourced to provide this service to Minister of Agriculture? Can we get information and table the evidence?
Chair, I do not have that information offhand. However, given time, I would be able to provide you the information. I can't have it, Chair, because it was not the subject of the audit queries.
Procedure?
Mr. Chairman, the procedures they followed in appointing Mr. Sembegwe to provide goats. Why I'm insisting on this? This man appeared before this committee, Sembegwe, and the issues were gross on him. And here we are, still being given the same business, but goats are dying. That's the same problem. So we are not benefiting. These are losses. So that's the procedure matter I will seek for. That's why we have the big number from agriculture. Whether it will be procedure okay for the accounting officer, that general, to send someone to their ministry and bring us details of how Sembegwe. Or he can make a phone call.
Okay, one, let's first make a clarification. Accountant, that matters. Okay, this matter was raised by the auditor. And you came here clearly knowing you are going to respond to matters in the audit report. So, can you withdraw that it's not an audit matter?
Chair, the point I'm talking about is the fact of these people are diverse. If we were to wait now for the information, I can tell you certainly that it will be very difficult for us.
That one had not yet made a ruling.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I'd wanted to deal with
yes, sir,
is that we are dealing immediately to find out what the problem is, but also to look at the contractual obligation that was entered in line with seeing whether you can salvage, you can hold the supplier responsible maybe to replace the goods. And from a professional perspective, procurement issues are issues that are of public nature. To secure a service provider like this one, definitely due processes must have taken place. And that information is available somewhere. It is not information that is very far. So it would only be prudent that that information is available. Then we look at the contract
Honorable.
and see how we can salvage this.
That's a serious issue. First week of delivery, Mr. Chairman, that's when the goats died. Gino.
Thank you. So let's take this seriously. The procurement process, the trace of this procurement and how it was handled, what leading to what contract was signed, is available somewhere. It is archived. It should be brought, and then we look at this.
Chair.
Let me have the vice. Then Basil.
That there is a lot of dishonesty, sorry to say, from the officer that made a submission. Because in your own opinion, in your own docket, if there is an observation of a project that has close to 50% failed, you cannot come and casually make a submission as if something is too normal. You cannot claim that you were handed over an office and your predecessor did not give a record of what happened prior. So, Honorable Chair, good enough we've also been where you are. You cannot claim that you don't have the procurement action files for that activity. Chair, I pray that the procurement action file, right from initiation, from the users, the initiators of the project, is brought before we proceed with this assignment. Actually, if he's, I don't know his position, but I believe you have so many officers under you. And I doubt whether that very file is kept under your safe as a special, as a special file. So, Chair, I would request that for us to proceed very well, the officer needs to submit this important document, because that will lead you into the other abnormal aspects of an entity getting such, this is a scam, of getting such a scam, and you look not to be bothered. Your officer is casually submitting as if everything is moving on very well. So, Honorable Chair, we would like to have a submission of the procurement, a detailed procurement action file for this very activity. Thank you.
To depart from the submission of the Vice Chair to the committee, the Honorable Goretti. But I want to add my voice that these are issues of accountability. And we should take serious note, I think the accounting officer should know, that if the goats, for example, died in the very first week, anybody would be interested to know this, is it as a result of disease or as a result of a felony on the other side of the supplier. And then if it is, if you find out, then you take action. If it is, for example, the supplier's fault, then you take action. But I want to take note that even now, when we are talking about 15 billion that was dying, but I have picked interest also to note that each goat was, we are talking about how the supplier was sourced. Each indigenous goat was 398,000 shillings. 398,000 shillings.
That's a unit cost.
Yes, per goat. That's fair.
They were indigenous.
Yes, I can say fair if they are good size. But the one I picked interest in is the imported goats. They are 71. It is 528 million. 528 million. So this makes the goat how much? 7 point something. 7.4 million shillings per goat. This brings me to the rats we dealt with some time back. So
no, Basil, be very affirmative.
So yes,
that you've looked at two aspects. Now we are taking to details.
Yes, I am now, after bringing this.
No, I want you to say the things very, very clearly.
Yes, I'm now stating Yes.
the facts after bringing you that background.
So the indigenous
Now,
one, which was bought for 398,000.
98,000.
The exotic one?
To
or-
me, that is a fair price, given that sometimes it takes long to pay the supplier, and the suppliers also take credit from banks. So, but this one of 7.4 million per goat is something that I wanted to be explained how it was sourced and eventually purchased at that cost, especially if the method of procurement has not been clearly indicated. But also, the third issue is once an officer takes office and you see that there is high mortality rate, you take interest to know why. So, has this mortality rate been reversed? Is this supplier still in action in the next financial year? And what happened?
And here I think we can also supply goods
You can also say at 7 million.
at no lower than that, a lower cost.
And goat from South Africa and Namibia, we bought a high pedigree animal, and this cost includes cost insurance and freight. So it came to 7.4 million. The local goats, the exotic goats we bought are high pedigree goats that are supposed to improve the blood of, so pedigree is expensive. The genetics is high. You are free to Google any high pedigree animal, a Sanan goat, and you'll come to about the same range. Now, the issue of disease, I hadn't yet come to that response, but the mortalities were high for two reasons. One, what we call goat plague, Pestis dipeptitis ruminantia. It broke out in very many districts of Uganda. And the Sembegwe was procuring goats from farmers, breeders to distribute to farmers. We have a surveillance report by Animal Health Department.
He was a Kayungirize.
No, we have an MOU with Sembeguya, and I am going to, I pledge that I'm going to provide the background of how he was. I will go and peruse the file. But I know that this is the second phase of the project. It started in Zimbabwe, and now there was a rollover to 6 other districts. Yes. So, but
Mr. Chairman, he runs away from facts. At the beginning, he said he got the project, he was given this role after the procurement, everything has taken place. And a while ago now, he has just said, he was as if telling us how Sembeguya was procured. And I asked you, Mr. Chairman, that they should send someone to bring all the relevant documents on how Sembeguya was sourced. Actually, you have just stated now that Sembeguya was, as you said, the Kayungiris. Sembeguya's record of Parliament is that he breeds the goats and has capacity, which was contested by this committee long ago. Now, if you tell us that he was getting from other people, these are the dates we are getting. So we cannot get an answer about these goats before looking at how Sembeguya was procured, yet is among the blacklisted providers of services in government.
To me, I think we should not spend a lot of time on this. The Vice asked some specific information regarding this procurement. But I also want to say is when you are outsourcing a supplier, the supplier may collect goats from somewhere, Kashari, Mubende, Karamoja, but with intended supply somewhere. So if they are local breeders, to me, I thought even this supplier would first take them to a designated place and take care of them. So a holding area, so that then he supplies when he has taken care of.
Opportunistic.
Yes, so that he doesn't. But if you pick from my farm, even if they put us in the same room today, somewhere in a congested place, our colleague would he would invest us. So my question is, was this Sembeguya who was procured having capacity that was assessed that he had 10,000 goats or whatever, and therefore out of the stock he is supplying? Or he was given an MOU and he said, you go and pick anything, then you come and supply, and in the process actually collected diseases, aggregated them, and then took them to an area. I'm very sure these people who received goats had their breeds also, those ones they found, like we saw in Karamoja. The goats that were taken there killed those that they found.
Let me ask
from the local veterinary staff reporting about the deaths and what happened, but also the acknowledgement receipts by the beneficiary that actually they did receive these goats that died and the balances that remained. But also, this committee be vanished with the import certificate that clearly indicates, as talked about the CAIF, cost insurance and flag, and also the Uganda revenue documentation that actually also confirms to us there were goats imported and of those numbers that were going to this particular project.
Vote at 7 million must have far extreme benefits that this country would actually benefit, and it was thought well, and the cost benefit analysis was done in comparison to the local goats being bought at 300,000. We need to understand this. So I wish they would also provide that information, that that the government of Uganda or the people of Uganda are going to benefit extremely far better in these imported goats at 7 million than our local goats.
That time, our auditors to explain some of the things, because in front of us we have an audit report, and we are questioning some procedures, and the auditors in some instances have not raised some of the issues. So like on this competitiveness of this procurement, both the local goats and the imported goats, since they have not raised it here in the audit report, we would want to know from them if they were comfortable with the procurement process, so that as we get the file, we are also sure that actually the auditors had looked at it and maybe were comfortable with the procedure. Because, Chair, as it looks right now, it would be as if now we are also now going into an audit process. Yes, yet the auditors have done the work and they have brought a report here. So on my side, I would want to know from the auditors if they investigated or if they reviewed the procurement processes and they were comfortable on my side.
No, we are not examining auditors here. Sir, Madam, I think
I do not want this committee to lose focus of the Auditor General's finding and recommendation. When you read what the Auditor General wrote, he actually, first of all, acknowledged that there was an MOU between this SURVE and, I believe, the ministry or the project. And in his advice and recommendation, he advised the accounting officer to ensure SURVE adheres to the MOU and to establish holding centers in each district where delivered goats should be quarantined and monitored at least 2 weeks before the distribution. Which means there was a breach for me reading what the Auditor General has written. So this is where I want the accounting officer to explain to this committee what was contained in this MOU, which I have not seen, Chair. We have not seen that MOU. And of course, the management response is that the holding grounds is for, it's the district local government that's supposed to establish them. But in knowing that they were not established, why did we go ahead to pick goats, allow these goats to move direct from the farm to wherever they were taken or distributed to beneficiaries. Why didn't we comply with this particular provision that required the holding ground to be established? At least the goats are monitored before they are actually distributed. I just want to understand that.
So in a
So the MOU 2021 states that this Sembeguya Estates Uganda Limited shall procure, in liaison with the district veterinary office, proceed to isolate, vaccinate, tag, and distribute indigenous local goats. Were these goats vaccinated? Why they?
On page 36, the auditor noted that, however, I noted that during inspection of most of the beneficiary farmers, they did not keep records of goat enterprise performance, especially at the farm level. And with the interview with the beneficiary farmers, they revealed that the goats they received were weak, emaciated, they were coughing, and had nasal discharges. So, no, this is from the, the observation of the Auditor General. You pick goats from wherever you got them from, very sick, coughing, sneezing, yeah, they had every kind of sickness. Then you give them to farmers. So for me, Chair, I do observe that for this project, it would be so unfair for us to even think that it succeeded in any way. Chair, as we do proceed, I'm anticipating the challenges that were faced by the Auditor General when he went to the field from the officer that has been submitting. For somebody who, for us, we observe there is a problem, but the officer in charge of a project casually takes it that business is as usual. So, Chair, for me, I would think this project will require a very forensic audit that would bring out issues of value for money and also to unveil who is Sembeguya. Members, you need to know who is Sembeguya. That is why we were calling for the procurement action file to look into the articles of association to know who is Sembeguya. If you lift the veil, you may find that this is the very reason as to why you cannot get many details about the goats. So we need to know who is Sembeguya, who are the directors in Sembeguya.
324, I can assure you we have not budgeted for this activity, for this project.
why?
Because of the issues, we took proactive action and noted most of the issues that you are talking about. And I've been informed that we are actually in the process of examining many of the questions you've asked. We are in the process of examining them. I would like to really suggest, Chair, because I have noted there are two issues. One, how did we get Sembegwe? Who is he and how did we get him? Two, having got him however we got him, the goats that he gave us died, were running noses and emaciated and so on, and died. Therefore, how come we accepted goats which were sick and with running noses and died? Chair, I would request that we give you a comprehensive report on these two issues, and I would request we put these responses in writing with all the evidence that you require for this. Thank you. I would request also, Chair, you know, I told you, sir, that the interest, I know that you're a very fair man. I would request that you protect me and allow me to complete my, protect me and you allow me to complete my answer. Because if you don't allow me to complete my answer, sir.
No, you have the floor, sir.
It is not necessary for me to be here.
No, sir, you have the floor.
Ask CID to deal with me and then make your conclusion, and then I am just joking. So I would request that, because I'm as interested as you, we are all interested. These are gods for Ugandans, and this is not money for ourselves or we are taking home. I'm also interested, like you. I would request that we give you a comprehensive answer, a more comprehensive answer than giving you these things in just talking, especially on the new issues, the very new, good, pertinent issues that you've raised. And I would request that we give you these by the close of business today or tomorrow. We can. I'm sure the officer can ask somebody.
No, some files I'm going to need them. Honorable colleague, if they permit, you know, I just preside over. One, I believe, sir, you have a big case at hand. And we are talking about, you have even confirmed, you yourself, you are not willing to continue with the project because you suspect we've lost man as a country. And there are documents that we need. At the end of this session, I intend to end it early. You report to the CID, they will accompany you and get all those documents we want after you've made a statement with the CID.
Chair.
Not you, sir, the officer.
Chair, there is an additional question that you should
And you know
put.
all the documents members have asked for. You are going to commit with the CID, you move with her to your office today and get all those files we want. You get it? And on time, after you make a brief statement. You are not under criminal. You just confirm this they asked, this they asked. You walk with her to your office, you hand over those files. Those you can hand over tomorrow, you'll hand over tomorrow. Those you can't today, make sure you hand them over today. She will or they will accompany you.
Chair.
The accounting officer to send someone to bring documents dealing with the procurement of Mr. Sembe.
Honorable Sewungu, you dealt with this issue in the last accountability with the same monitor. When did you last monitor?
Chair, he cannot claim to, no, you cannot claim to be monitoring. Get to page 37 of your submission. The accounting officer explained that the project has been facing a challenge of availability of funds and transport facility to carry out monitoring of the project activities on a regular basis due to government budget cuts.
Yes.
So you can't claim to be monitoring.
One got
This year?
This year, yes.
You
we
went
we
there?
actually had an occasion to receive.
So why
them
were you
and launch.
saying that you don't know?
No, I said current today, but
No.
as of January they are 71.
Why didn't you give us an answer that in January I visited, and in January I saw this?
You
Then
know,
you
Chair,
said you don't know.
There are certain questions which we are going to deal with. We are dealing with a last financial year which ended in June. When were the goods delivered to be still under quarantine up to January this year?
And went over the financial year because one, Sembeguya was funded towards the end of the financial year. Now, procurement and quarantining, especially of exotic goods, can take 3-4 months. So that's why they came in January.
So,
but he received the money in June.
It's about $2,000. Now, those of you who are in serious farming, sir, you know how much it costs to import genetics from outside. I will not go into that one because, Chair, I beg.
Honorable Taiwa put a question.
I beg that.
You remember Honorable Taiwa's question?
Yes, sir.
Eh?
Because somebody questioned the cost, the unit cost of each of these goats. And I'm trying to explain, sir, that it could actually be justified because I happen to know, for example, that the Honorable, the President Ramaphosa sold, I think, a Nyankore cow from Uganda, I think to about $140,000. One of the goats he got, one of the cows he got from Yabba.
No matter how presidents in Africa procure and sell.
And he did not sell it to another president. He sold it to somebody bought it. However, this is up to, I request, sir, that I complete my submission. This is really up to you as honorable members of the, because I want to support you to get the truth of this matter. But the second point, maybe the last point that I want to make, is that the officer we are going to provide all the information that you require, but we need to remember that these are issues of the last financial year. After reviewing this issue in this financial year, including the report of Parliament about Mr. Sembeguya and the report of the Auditor General, we have reviewed our action towards this project. And we are in the process, actually, I can assure you, Parliament, that it is not possible for someone to steal money from us. It will, I can assure you. So,
Order.
Sir,
Order, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
Order. Order, Mr. Chairman.
Order.
There are very many. And this was done under the supervision of the accounting officer, who is a general. Now, when he comes to this committee and says, we have done, we are going to control, there is no more loss of money, when we are already looking at losses of goats worth billions, is it in order to put this into that kind of situation? The answer, the issue here, once an audit query is on paper and it was not dropped by the Auditor General, it means there are losses of funds, Mr. General, sir. So is it in order to tell us how they are going to control no losses, when already the queries are more than what we are expecting?
Things very carefully. So, revise the language, and use the parliamentary language.
Chair, thank you very much.
But I want to assist you to move faster.
Yes,
because
Chair.
we think we are over spending a lot of time on this issue. We've been on it for an hour. 1.1, we've dealt with the goat mortality rate, we've noted. 9.2 is on performance of beneficiaries, unless there's something specifically. Honorable Pendi, Taebwa, and the Honorable 6 months. No, January now it is 3 months. 2.5, sir. You want to hold them for 4 months?
No, I think the distribution is taking place. I will find out, Chair, the current status, as I said.
So in the document you are bringing,
yes,
you are going to bring to us the current status.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Can we proceed to another question?
177.8 billion availed to the ministry during the year. 173.2 was utilized, resulting in unutilized warrants of 4.58, representing 97% utilization, as shown in the table below. There is a table down here. As a result of failure to utilize the warrants, there was salary arrears, pension arrears, payment of construction.
To tell you the truth, I want you to go to 1.5.
You want me to stop this one, sir?
No, we shall come back to that. I tackle the big issue, then we come to the simpler issue. I want you to go for 1.5, where you did a mischarge of 900 million.
Yes. The issue here is that there was a mischarge of 939.627 billion. It says were irregularly diverted from the activities on which they were budgeted and spent on other activities. Details of cases where this was observed are in Appendix 2. Diversion of funds is not only contrary to the Public Finance Management Act, but it negatively affects the delivery of services and negates the purpose of budgeting. The accounting officer explained that the ministry invoked Rule 14 of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2016 and informed the PSST of the need to repurpose funds. And I advised the accounting officer the recommendation to ensure that the charging of expenditure is based on the expenditure classification and coding as defined by the chart of accounts and not reasons for the expenditure. Management response, the ministry invoked regulation.
Sir, you are reading what we have. You see,
yes.
I want to be up to speed. When I go to 1.4, you have a response there.
Yes.
Your response that the ministry invoked regulation 14
yes.
of the Public Finance Management. Reading we have. The question is on those two. Then from those two, you go back and say diversion of funds. So the question of the question is on 3. Your response, the Auditor General rejecting it, and then what you've done.
I discussed this issue with the Auditor General. I informed him, and I am surprised at his response, but really my response is as previous. When we changed, we informed, you have a copy. When we informed the Auditor General. Actually, this was a slight point of contention between ourselves and the Auditor General, and we even sought to seek an opinion of the Solicitor General on this issue, as to whether or not we were right in our activity, in our action. And I don't want to say we insist, but we think that our action was justified. Thank you, sir.
I open it to, I don't want to give my, and this one, colleagues, I would really want both the accounting officer and the office we have to assist us. If you look at one, it says allowances, then it says the casual temporary sitting allowances, they charged contract staff. The account that should have been charged should be contract staff allowances, salaries. But in that same schedule, there are accounts which really relate to allowances. I'll give an example. If you look at I'm meaning the side where they are supposed to have charged. Number 2, allowances. If you go down, allowances. So the issue is, why did the accounting officer get this money we are talking about, the 347 million, to charge these same accounts so that there will be no problem of raising a mischarge, because you would have charged the right account and went to charge contract salaries. If you go further, if you really interpose this, you will discover that the mischarge, if the accounting officer followed very well the chart, would go down drastically. Me, I've just done numbers, yet could come to about only 219 million. So the question is, why didn't the accounting officer charge the right account, instead went and charged the wrong account, yet money was on those accounts, and instead went on and also charged them differently?
Has raised an issue that you'll find that there is interchange of charge items when the funds could have been available. Funds are released in quarters, and in one quarter you may have, for example, you will see where we are saying we should have charged property management, but maybe we charged guard and security services. These items are really related. You find that you need to pay the guards and the funds, because not every coin that we budget for comes out at the quarter when it should be coming out. But there are those expenses that you cannot leave out. If, for example, you need to pay, you have guards guarding the ministry, you don't have money on guards, it's not enough, but you have money on property management expenses, at least you look for those items that are related. You will see that there is even where you are anticipating that we shall pay this amount of electricity, you put money on electricity, you put money on water. You find that money on electricity is finished, money on water is still on. You go in and yet they are going to cut off the electricity. So you go into electricity and you pay. I want to request this through my chair, this committee, to understand that it is in actual operations, not all the money comes out at once. And in order to make the ministry move, you look sometimes at these related items and you work within the provisions of when you have asked to be allowed to charge. That's how this came out. And when you look at the items, most of them are really, really related. Thank you, Chair.
You would have said, yes, you budgeted for security 2 million, but it became 10 million, but it is come, you're charging from property. Why didn't you allow that environment? That's number one. Number two, if you're talking about quarterly, now assuming you have used the quarter A money for a certain property, why don't you reconcile it at the end of the financial year, so that you said, we took your money, we have returned, this one was meant for this. Why don't you reconcile these items at the end of a financial year?
Yes, sir.
But I want to add on that the Assistant Commissioner explained well what mischarge means. Mischarge is where you want to pay for an activity, but at that particular time, there is no money for that activity. You pay from another activity. Now, when another quarter comes, the money for that particular activity, which there was no money, you might find this time there is money. That's why when you look at this schedule, you find that some of the codes which were mischarged are at the same time mischarged the other side, because money is coming at different times. But to me, I don't think that's an excuse, because the reason why Minister of Finance actually put mischarge as a case, it was to discipline the accounting officers and paymasters. If you realize that the money you are supposed to pay from here is finished, instead of encroaching on another code to pay from, then you seek permission. Seek permission that we don't have this money, like he has rightly said. We don't have this money. The money meant on this is finished. But it was budgeted for the whole year. Maybe what came in the quarter is not enough to finish that activity. But there is also some other money in the next quarter for that particular activity in the work plan. Seek for some permission so that they allow you to spend from another code other than spending when you know that you are really mischarging.
So two things, when the auditors come, you are home and dry. And for them to reject, because I'll ask you to give us a management letter, will you feel comfortable? The management letter they wrote to you. If I went to that extent, I say, please adduce the management letter. Will you feel comfortable? Should I take that route? Because I can take now that route, that you are disputing what they discovered. I'll say, lay on table the management, first management letter they gave you. I know you don't want me to go there because you know the implication. Implement some of the planned activity despite having received the required funds.
One of the activities not undertaken was to distribute 2 million doses of FMD vaccines.
No, that detail we have.
Yes,
the rest, that's why I tell you, don't take us into those ones.
Yes.
The answer you gave is all the activities were rolled over the
Absolutely.
financial year. But
Yes,
that
Chair.
does not take away the fact that 8.4 billion was spent. You got the money, you did not implement activities worth 8.4 billion. So don't take us into the activity that you never implemented. Those ones we can read.
Yes, Chair, I don't...
Just saying 5 of 1.4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not taking you to 5.
But my interest here is what is trending now is FMD.
Yes.
It is a problem for all of us, and even my colleagues that said I'm sure they are equally affected. However, what is disturbing me is, although the general response is that the activities were rolled over, here in the management response, before we go to that column, the first management response was funds were used to procure other vaccines, other drugs like acaricides, and so I'm trying to wonder whether there was an emergency that they would explain that this emergency superseded
Who can quickly go through Appendix 1? Because 8 billion, and when you read about the 29 billion also, part of that money, you had the money to procure vaccines for FMD, 2 million doses. You've just signed a project in Japan, but read what, this one will take your heart out and says, RAS project monitoring and supervision of construction of 2 dams at K2, Kitumbizi, in and wherever. You could not monitor. Then you are signing, you are flying quickly to sign for more money. For even the little you have, you can't monitor. And the money you got
the money you spent.
Chair,
before
I,
the PS
Let me
responds.
first listen to the
FMD. Honorable Chair, it has been put on paper that some of this money was used to buy acaricides. I've never seen government distributing acaricides to farmers anywhere.
No,
the
don't-
only thing that I trust that people can benefit through is the vaccination against FMD.
Yeah, honorables, hold your fire. As we go down in implementation, you are going to get a shock of your life. How they have acaricides in thousands in store,
Sure.
and you have never distributed them. They are here in the details. Let's go slowly.
Okay, Chair, thank you.
is the disease you have been talking about of goats, the one which causes goats to die. And you have been in the same way. We've been PPR. Dr. Kajura, is PPR not endemic? It is here. So vaccination is a must. It is endemic here. Now, first of all, this story, the Auditor General's report, does not give the whole story. Because, sir, a lot of this money that we are told we were supposed to spend and did not spend comes in the in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, while it starts on the 1st of May, I think, or 1st of April, the money actually, by the time we warrant and so on, it is about the 20th of April. By the time you complete, you are left with one of two choices. Either this money is going to be swept back and you are not going to be able to spend it, or you are going to think and spend this money so that it doesn't go back. So first and foremost, we've been trying to get enough doses of FMD here. We have not been able to get the money. Even now, we are trying to get money to buy 10 million doses. We have not yet got the money to buy the 10 million doses.
Yeah, let the general hold the fire first. I just wanted to find out. Yes, the money.
They should have come. I don't know whether they have come. But we are in the process of procuring vaccines. However, again, I don't want to go into a long explanations, because if we really were doing what we were supposed to do, even this problem of FMD will not be there. Because part of the problem of FMD is a failure on the part of our people, including our leaders, to explain to people that FMD is endemic in Uganda and that there are certain behavior which ensures that however much vaccine you buy,
But
you will
Chair,
not be
I
able
want
to
you
do
to
it.
stop that conversation.
Yes, sir.
Because it's unrelated.
No.
No, let me tell you, sir. Don't say no. We are saying you got the money. Okay? You never implemented the activity.
That's where
when
I'm
you
going,
had
sir.
the listen, when you had the money, actually we are saying, we are asking you, where did you put this money? You are supposed to procure 2 million doses of FMD drugs. You did not. And the country is grappling with an outbreak. Can I make a ruling? 1.4 sustained. And did you know the law, sir?
Chair, may I, with the greatest of respect to you, sir, offer you an explanation about 1.4?
You want me to rescind my decision? Okay.
I want to persuade
Yeah,
you,
I said
sir.
I will be fair.
I want to
I
persuade
said I
you,
will be
sir,
fair
that
and I
this-
listen to you.
Yes, sir. For example, to buy FMD vaccine. FMD vaccines are not on the shelf. So when you receive, for example, 20 billion shillings to buy vaccines, there is nowhere, no place that you're going to go to get those vaccines in less than 4-5 months if you want to buy them. Unless when you buy them, you are going to get air. To buy vaccines requires, 1, to test your animals, 2, to ensure that you have the correct person who is going to manufacture these vaccines, and 3, to ensure that that person has the capacity to deliver those vaccines to you. Even then, after the vaccines have been manufactured, the vaccines themselves have to be tested for efficiency and efficacy. So some of these things, sir, If it is a problem, I have asked, this argument has been made to me by both the auditors and the PSST. And I've asked myself, if the efficiency, my efficiency can be gauged by spending money, I can spend it. I mean, it's just a signature, I can send it. But I would request, sir, that
Let's give him a chance to complete.
That really the issue, because this year we are in the process of buying the FMD vaccine. The things we did not do last year, we are doing them this year. We are titling and surveying the land.
But are you answering? Are you responding to the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Man, I think we should have something you will not help him. You see, by the time you generate that you are going to buy 2 million vaccines, it is out of you. Then, when you get this money, which is meant to buy FMD vaccines, and use it to buy Aracaside, that word, Acaricide, it means you sit in your office and give yourself authority to do something different from what you planned. Secondly, let us agree with whatever is saying, that you cannot buy them a single day or what. But all that is evidence stable. Did you make a procurement? Did you show the money would be available? But this money was spent for something else. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So I think let us not be telling ourselves, you see, there are witnesses.
Chair, the budget item is the same.
Funds. It's you who asked for this money. When you got the money, you did something else. And the audit query does not come after 5 months. The voters, it is after a financial year. So you had to buy these vaccines. And let me put this on record. These people, the honorable members who were cut and what, they are saying, give us permission to buy ourselves these FMDs by ourselves. So don't mislead this committee by telling us those failures.
Chair, if anybody buys FMD, because we are leaders, we must guide our people properly.
No, but for us, we are on money spent, not.
If you buy FMD vaccine, because it's a scientific process, if you buy, there's nowhere in the world where this is done by the private sector.
Can I have a small comment from only 3 people? Because that conversation is a sector conversation. Okay? Me, I'm here for an audit conversation.
Chair, thank you so much. I procured by that money, though not utilized it in the last financial year, but now. But people don't have vaccine. So I didn't understand it.
Chair, may I explain that one? Because there was a supply chain problem.
In this item, it is always rolling over every financial year, and it comes as an audit query. And there was a time they said the LOC could not perform because we had deposited money for the FMD. Then there was a time they said the money had been paid in advance because if we don't do it, they would not have it. So I would want the committee to get interested and maybe instruct the Auditor General to do the chronology of this for about 4 years or 5 years. That's number one. Then number two, this budget is not prepared by Parliament. It is prepared by the accounting officer. And he says, this is my plan. Now he comes to Parliament, gives him money. Now, if there's an issue, he would be the one reporting himself that you gave me too much money in this court, or you gave me less. Now, he is coming to defend an issue that it takes long. Yet when he came for money, he never said it would take long. Like he would have planned and said, for this period of 5 months, I will need this amount of money to procure this amount of drugs. And I'm sure there's a sequence of these things. If it is something which is of recurrent nature, would have these drugs in stores, or they are coming every time. Okay, I don't know them because I'm not a cattle farmer. Maybe they know better. Does it expire? Does it have an expiry date? Now, if it has an expiry date, we want to assume it is 3 years. Why don't we order enough so that we have in stock, that we don't have it expiring, having shortages at a particular time? So, Mr. Chairman,
I would propose that this one here, if we are going to rule, it will need a further detailed investigation on procurement of drugs, because you have seen the accounting officer is saying you can buy air. We are all sure that also the ministry is not buying what? Air. So these are things you should look at. So can you move the committee that this item be put to a detailed investigation for purpose of understanding how procurement of this drug for cattle is concerned for a period of 5 years. And this can be done with an Auditor General bring us a detailed audit on this item. Are we good to go with that?
We do investigate all the items that were partially implemented, because we need to this time around allocate blame. Who was responsible for what? Because when you look at the table, when you go back to this appendix of partially implemented outputs, we need to look at the nature of each item independently, nature by nature. For example, livestock diseases. You look at meat and export support services. Why are these partially implemented? Because you do planning for a financial year. So, Chair, for me, I think we need to investigate these items and find out, was it a problem of poor planning? Was it because the procurements were, the process was started late? Where is the problem? Such that we mitigate. You hold money, you don't use it, and at the end of the day, we don't get services.
Okay, I think our process ends. 5 years, how has it been? In addition, we interest ourselves. I fear to detail an accountability committee into a sector activity, because some of those issues where you are taking us are sector activities. Where sectors are not doing their work, let us stick and hold them accountable. I think those activities will come in our recommendation for the sector committees to take deeper interest into these issues. But let's the procured vehicles needs. Okay, you procured 200 motorcycles at a cost of 2 billion. Accounting officer, at a cost of 2 billion. A quick mathematics tells us each single one costed how much? 10. 10 million. Would like to know the type of motorcycles that you bought at 10 million. That is one. Second one, the biggest issue with the auditor is that these were, he says, cycles were intended to carry out district extension workers and extension. The audit inspection carried out in October revealed that all the motorcycles were intact and yet to be distributed to intended beneficiaries 7 months after delivery and receipt. 7 months they were in your stores. Giving someone a contract, go and get a mark-off, and things are there. Do you have an explanation, or we move on?
Should be distributed without being registered, and registration is out of the control of the Minister of Agriculture. The registration is done by the Minister of Works and Transport, and this is the period that they took to register them. Actually, we had to lean on them, as it were. The exact point that you are making, sir, we made it to them and told them that they were making us look bad because we've had these things for a long time and we had not yet delivered them. For the cost, sir, I'm not an engineer, I'm not technical. I have the Commissioner for Agriculture Engineering. He can explain the cost.
And the make.
And the make. Motorcycles. This motorcycle is manufactured by Simba, and it is 125 cc.
By Simba?
Yes.
Here?
It's Simba Automotive, yes. They import some of the parts.
No, say
the main driver.
Don't say manufactured, it is assembled by
Assembled,
Simba.
yes, but they manufacture some component parts because they have a directive to set up the manufacturing and assembly plant.
Oh, you take her to that Kavuyo, okay. But okay, tell us.
So the motorcycle is 125 cc. So the cost, it's Simba. Yeah. And then the cost is
Now, let
10
us
million.
say Simba right now is an agency or a factory.
Current,
This is unaudited.
they are the dealers. Yes,
Yes.
they are the dealers.
By this time, Simba is just a dealer.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Now, the cost of 10 million per motorcycle, if you looked at the cost of these motorcycles in the market, I think the ministry bought these vehicles much more cheaper than the market price of this the same type of motorcycle in the commercial market. And that can be verified, even send somebody to Simba to verify the same motorcycle.
Okay, on these ones, I'm going to allow that it was the Minister of Works which delayed, not him as accounting officer. Number
Chair,
two,
that evidence is obvious.
yeah, you better. Number two, you also confirm that it was only the only item which was delayed in your ministry was motorcycles, and you never imported the also cars for, as let's say, you never bought also cars for ministry use, and also those cars were also delayed for the same period.
Chair, this can be verified. The information, the commissioner there will bring you information.
Commissioner, bring us that detail as asked, Honorable.
Yes.
It can be verified.
Chair, I wanted to know.
What does the law say?
The law says that you need to open up for competition, but for items where there is a direct dealer who has been exempted or who has been authorized to set up the assembly or manufacturing plant,
it is in the law.
that person is allowed to, the entity is allowed to engage directly with the service provider.
But sir, don't take us. I've just asked you under review, and you confirmed that this was the dealer. No. You've just said on record that this one, as of now, Simba is a dealer under the audit year.
I think in that, because I'm not a procurement expert, I can get the head of procurement to give us that explanation.
Who is the head of procurement?
By the law, because I think we implemented as per the directive.
Which directive?
There was a directive that was...
From who?
Chair, through my PS.
PS, where did you get the directive from, sir?
Sir, Chair, there is a directive
from
that we would do. First of all, Simba.
No. Let's finish the directive. You were general, you are precise on attack.
That's why I'm giving you an answer which is as detailed as possible, sir. The directive was to procure
from
ensure that...
No, let's issue the... Now I'm interested in only one thread, the directive.
The directive was to procure motorcycles.
From who? From who?
To direct, to ensure that we use... It's actually not just to us.
No, I'm saying directive from who?
There's a directive from HE, the president, to use Bubu.
Bubu in the dealing?
By Uganda deal.
No, can you show the directive?
Yeah, it is there, Chair.
No, where?
It has been written to all the MDAs to ensure that we use Uganda. And this directive, I'm sure even the Auditor General looked at it and saw it. That's first point. But second point, sir.
No. We are still dealing with the issue of directives. And we want to see clearly that directive is from where? And why didn't the Auditor General see the directive?
No, but he did. I'm very surprised if he says he did not.
Auditor General, did you see the directive?
Have they complained about single sourcing, sir?
No. No. Did you see the directive?
And he only queried the time it took to register. And now it is you, the committee, which has probed and reached to say it is single what? Sourcing. Now you have to leave with the Auditor General. He's now trying to deny his job. That is very serious. So what you have to do, Mr. Chairman, it is you now to follow up and say, can I have the evidence of single sourcing and the directive? Because the Auditor General has denied this. He only how can the Auditor General say it was only a period? Yet he would have followed from the procurement stages up to the delays.
Can I say this? Their make against the boxers.
Order. Mr. Chairman, members, we should get interested. Is this the right value in the market? And that's it. But that's why it's use eyes. It's very dangerous. So what I'm saying.
And explain. That is the second chance in life. When they had that opportunity, they gave us that it is about a buffer stock. They couldn't even explain why the doses were missing. They could have told us we distributed them. They could have told, they had options. Also matters a great deal.
Sir, I did explain that.
Money
there
account.
is a lack of time of that, and since we didn't attempt,
and realized that with all your people, they could not account for drugs worth 500 million and another one. I think the accounting officers here, for you get a compilation of these reports from the responsible directorates.
Can we take it that this figure of the vaccines that are missing are in stock? And if somebody went there today, they can be counted.
I get afraid. They actually distributed them. Their main problem is record, and their main problem might have been attending the exit meeting where they would have.
Can you listen to the editor's narration? Yes. Unaccounted for vaccine, but shall go to that.
Yes, that one can be explained.
Yeah. Let me listen to senior only, and then we 500 are lost doses. The explanation you have here does not show that they are not lost. That's number one. Number two, because when they were making these management responses, you would have been in to come and assist to say that with the internal audit, this is what happened. So, Mr. Chairman, if you are going to crucify my mother, whom you are calling mom, you cannot leave the internal audit. You understand? Because the internal audit is what the external auditor bases on. How about the general? We leave him. Of course, now I'm coming. The general
with the greatest
is the
of
first
respect,
culprit, followed by my mother, who manages the store, the internal auditor. But
Chair, with the greatest of respect to my senior honorable now are there. The weakness is that my director of animal resources, probably the weakness is mine because I did not supervise her very well. Because she should have attended the management letter and she should have made sure that she has the correct response to this. And therefore, on her behalf, maybe I take responsibility for her actions. And yes, I take responsibility for her actions. And as the accounting officer, it is my failure. I put it on record. It will not happen again. It is my failure for her to have failed to give this response properly.
Do you know what the Public Finance Management Act says in this regard?
I am fully aware and cognizant.
What does it say?
I take full personal responsibility.
And what does it say?
If there's been a loss, I pay.
You make a good of the loss?
Yes, if there has been a loss. And the public finance money, the law in Uganda, fortunately, is very fair. So if there's been, yes, if there has been a loss, I'll pay.
You will pay?
Yes, if there has been a loss, yes, I will pay. I'll take responsibility for actions. Thank you. Chair, the reason
and
I have
you see, General, that's why we have high respect for you, and that's why I think the chairman is being fair. It will be also very dangerous for us to arrest a general. But as my brother just so can you make your response? So, General, is there anything you can say in mitigation as you fully take responsibility of this?
Chair, I want to be very clear. I have accepted responsibility.
Of what?
Not of, because there's no financial loss.
There is.
No, Chair, there is no financial loss. You see, Chair, I don't know how we take the law in Uganda. Because the Auditor General's opinion, if it was a rule of a judge, I would be in prison. People would be in prison. But it's an opinion. And causing financial loss is a legal opinion. Now, my request to you, sir, and this is a very, very humble request, is that if there have been financial loss, this is very easily verifiable. What Madam is saying is very easily verifiable, can be checked. If she has distributed the vaccine, that
General,
can also, if she has not distributed
General,
the vaccine.
can I warn you?
Yes, sir.
You contradict yourself, I'll put you on oath.
Yes.
Okay? And I don't entertain more lectures. Because you can't contradict yourself. You have admitted the Auditor General fixes a figure of the loss. Even on 6, he fixes an amount of money. You admit and say you are sorry. And you even commit yourself to make a good of the loss. And then you want to give an...
Chair, I'm on record. Really, Chair, I told you, and I respect you very much, I am on record of saying to the extent that the lady failed in her action, as her supervisor, I take responsibility. I have not admitted financial loss.
No, Mr. Chairman.
That's the second point. Because financial loss is the second step.
Can I make my ruling, sir?
Mr. Yes, Chairman.
Sir. Madam and the internal auditor go to the CID.
Mr.
I'm not
Chairman.
entertaining those explanations.
Mr. Chairman.
No.
Mr.
Madam
Chairman.
Doctor.
Chair, internal auditor.
No. Madam Doctor and even accounting officer, I think you are being... but I don't want to take you through that.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Doctor, not now, after the meeting.
I want to say something.
Aho nno wetuli yoyo yabba ensimbi z'abalimi, ensimbi z'ebirime, ensimbi za agriculture. Minisita Mulamba akiguddeko olwaleero ebigambo bimusobyeko n'ayogera amazima. Kanoga nti omuwi w'omusolo agenda kukola atya, buli kyakola kibbwa bubbwa, buli kyakola kisanjwa busanywa. Naye nga tulina okwebereramu, tulina okusituka, bwe tunayagala embeera eno okubaako weekoma n'okutereeza Uganda yaffe. Tulina okutandika ne tulwana tulina Uganda ennungi, Uganda ffenna tunawangaaliramu. Kale mbaagala nnyo mwenna abaliko mwebali kubaako. Omukama Katonda gwe nsaba abankuumire, tujja kuba tuddamu bataayi mwerabu.